In today's world, a few words dominate our viewing experience. You can skip ad in 5 seconds. We click it almost without thinking. It's a reflex. But let's rewind the tape, back to a time when that button didn't exist. A time when the ad break wasn't a disruption to the program, it was part of the program. Welcome to the golden age of British television advertising. In a world with only 3, then 4 television channels, we were a captive audience. The same adverts were beamed into almost every living room in the country, night after night, year after year. They weren't just 30-second commercials, they were short films, comedy sketches, and musical numbers that became woven into the fabric of our culture. They were the unskippable soundtrack to our lives. Today on the Nostalgia Brit, we're not skipping the ads, we are celebrating them. We're going to dive into the impossibly catchy jingles that still live in our heads rent-free, the bizarre and beloved characters who became household names, and the many movie sagas that kept a nation gripped between episodes of their favorite shows. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and prepare to have a few old tunes stuck in your head all over again. There's a special kind of magic, or perhaps a special kind of curse, that a great advertising jingle possesses. It bypasses the logical part of your brain and burrows directly into your subconscious. It's an earworm, a tune so simple, so repetitive, so maddeningly catchy that once you hear it, it's there for the day. Or, in some of these cases, for a lifetime. And the undisputed heavyweight champion of British advertising earworms has to be this one. Sound on. Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. The Shake and Vac advert from 1980 was a masterpiece of simplicity. It starred the wonderfully cheerful actress Jenny Logan dancing around a living room, shaking powder onto a carpet. But the star wasn't Jenny, it was the song. A short, ridiculously upbeat piece of doo-wop that explained the entire product in its lyrics. It was so effective that the song itself became a pop culture phenomenon, a national in-joke that has lasted for over 40 years. But long before we were dancing with our vacuum cleaners, another character was creeping around his house in the dead of night, the secret lemonade drinker. The 1973 ad for R. White's Lemonade featured a man in pajamas sneaking downstairs to get his fizzy fix, all set to a brilliant bluesy ragtime piano tune. The song was so popular it was even released as a single. It was cool, it was funny, and it made a simple bottle of lemonade feel like a forbidden pleasure. And then there was the animated simplicity of the Milky Way ad. The red car and the blue car, a ridiculously simple tune about a chocolate bar so light it could float. It was aimed squarely at kids and it worked perfectly. These weren't just jingles, they were tiny, perfect pop songs designed to sell you something. And judging by the fact that you're probably humming one of them right now, it's fair to say they succeeded. But a catchy tune wasn't the only way into the nation's hearts. Sometimes advertisers created characters so charming, so funny, or so bizarre that they became genuine stars in their own right, often more famous than the product they were selling. Arguably the longest running and most beloved campaign in British TV history featured a family of chimpanzees. For 46 years, the PG Tips chimps, dressed in human clothes with their voices dubbed over by actors, entertained the nation. They were a family, just like us, except they were chimps. The most famous ad saw 2 of them trying to move a piano, a masterpiece of gentle slapstick comedy. They were a national institution, and for decades, tea time just wasn't tea time without them.
From the surreal to the science fiction, we travel to Mars. The 1974 advert for MASH, a brand of instant mashed potato, was a stroke of genius. It featured a family of Martian robots watching archive footage of primitive Earthlings peeling, boiling, and mashing potatoes by hand. They find the whole process utterly hilarious, bursting into high-pitched, hysterical, robotic laughter. The ad was witty, it was clever, and it gave us one of the most iconic catchphrases in advertising history. For MASH, get smash. And then there were the characters who were just plain big. For Sugar Puff cereal, we had the Honey Monster, a giant, hairy, and incredibly friendly yellow creature who was obsessed with honey. He would famously roar, "Tell 'em about the honey, mummy," before often smashing through a wall out of pure, uncontrollable excitement. He was big, he was clumsy, and kids absolutely adored him. But some advertisers went even further. They didn't just create a character for a single ad, they created an entire story, a mini-series that would unfold over months and sometimes even years. You didn't just watch the advert, you followed the plot. In 1987, Nescafe Gold Blend introduced the nation to a new couple, a sophisticated, charming man and woman played by Anthony Head and Sharon Mogan, who meet as neighbours and begin a slow-burning will they, won't they romance, all centred around borrowing and sharing a jar of instant coffee. It was a soap opera in 45-second instalments. The entire country was gripped, debating whether the couple would finally get together. It was a national obsession. But romance wasn't the only genre. For years, another mysterious figure was risking life and limb for chocolate. The Milk Tray Man was a suave, silent hero, always clad in black like a budget James Bond. Each advert saw him perform a daring stunt, skiing off a cliff, fighting a shark, leaping onto a moving train, all to secretly deliver a box of Milk Tray chocolates to a beautiful woman's room. And every single adventure ended with his iconic calling card and the legendary tagline, "And all because the lady loves Milk Tray." But while the adults were being charmed by coffee-loving couples and tea-drinking chimps, a completely different, much louder and more colourful advertising war was being fought for the hearts, minds and pocket money of the nation's children. This was the world of toy and sweet adverts. For boys, there was the ultimate hero, Action Man. His adverts weren't just commercials, they were 30-second action movies, full of explosions, daring missions, and features like his famous Eagle Eyes. For girls, there was Britain's own fashion doll, Cindy. Her adverts were a pastel-coloured dream of ponies, dream houses, and endless fashionable outfits. But the one advert that united all kids was for the place that held all these treasures. The Toys R Us jingle. There's a magical place, we're on our way there. Wasn't just a song, it was an anthem of pure childhood desire, played over footage of kids living their best lives in a seemingly endless toy paradise. And then there was the sugar rush. For decades, the coolest kid on television was the Milky Bar Kid. Tough, strong and generous, this little blonde cowboy in glasses would save the day and declare his famous catchphrase, "The Milky Bars are on me." And who could forget the simple, direct command from the ad for the Club Biscuit? It didn't just have a jingle, it gave you an order. The song's hook, "If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join our club," was a simple, irresistible invitation that you just couldn't say no to. These ads weren't just selling products, They were selling pure, unadulterated fun. So, from dancing ladies with vacuum cleaners to laughing Martians and James Bond-esque chocolate deliveries, what did they all have in common? They were more than just adverts. In an age of mass media where everyone watched the same few channels, they became a form of shared culture. They were the jingles we all hummed, the catchphrases we all repeated in the playground, and the stories we all followed. They were a common language that connected the entire country. Today, these ads serve as a perfect time capsule. They aren't just selling us products from the past, they're showing us a world that has vanished. The fashion, the home decor, the cars on the street, the simple, witty humour. Watching them again isn't just nostalgia for the adverts themselves, but for the Britain they unknowingly captured. So, we have to ask you, what was the one ad jingle you could never, ever get out of your head? Which character was your absolute favourite? The PG Tips Chimps? The Honey Monster? And what classic advert did we miss? Let us know in the comments below, because sometimes the most enduring memories are the ones that happened between the shows.